What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm bringing you an update to my most favourite deck in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh world, and that is of course Dark Magician. Now this does involve the Runick engine, and the reason for that is we can utilise Runicks as forms of interruption as well as draw power in order to get us into our Dark Magician cards, and then Dark Magician can then support the Runicks by being able to present an insanely powerful boss monster in the form of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. So I'm going to take you through the profile, explain what we've got, and talk you through why we are choosing to go down this particular route. Now this isn't for the purists out there, do not worry, this is just a version that can compete at its max level. You can look at stuff like Dogmaticas, you can also look at stuff like the branded version. So this one is something that I wanted to try a little bit different and go away from that, and also utilise the Runick deck, because as much as I hate it, as alongside you guys as well, I still think it's a very, very good engine. I was inspired by someone at Locals that was using a build not too dissimilar to this. They were using Runicks and Dark Magicians, and I was like, okay, let's see what I can kind of come up with to see what can work and how it can utilise itself to its max potential. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, we're going to dive headfirst into the profile. Now this is an exact 50-50 split. You've got 20 cards that are Dark Magician related, and then you've got 20 cards that are Runick related, and I'll talk you through all of them. So you start off with, of course, 2 Dark Magician. I'm so glad this got the quarter century treatment in the Megatins. Like, absolutely love this artwork, and I think that the quarter century is probably the best looking rarity around. Then, of course, we do play triple Magician's Rod. I can't wait for this to get the quarter century upgrade. I'm hoping, because we already have confirmation that Magician's Souls is going to get that upgrade. There is speculation because the OCG got this as quarter century, we will also get the same. So please, Konami, Rod deserves to be an upgrade. But with the Runicks, what it allows you to do is it allows you to have a normal summon. And what I mean by that is it means there is no clashes. So when you're looking at the Despia version where you want to be using a Luba, you don't have that particular type of clash. So you're able to just normal summon the Rod, and that's going to unlock you your Dark Magician plays. Alongside stuff like Magician's Souls as well, not only can you send relatively dead or less effective Runick cards to the graveyard to draw cards and then activate one Runick card to then use Fountain to spin all of those cards you've just discarded off of the back of Magician's Souls back, it is giving you an insane amount of power for draw engine. It can also get you a Dark Magician to the board, which can be utilised for your fusion plays. Then one card that is going to help you utilise your fusion plays is of course Tomias the United Dragon. So this is your only dragon in the entire deck in order to get you into a Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. But you can utilise this in multiple ways. Either using its own effect to fuse itself and a Dark Magician to get into Dragoon, or of course you can use it in the graveyard with Magicalized Fusion, and on the board should your opponent negate this card with a card like Secrets of Dark Magic, which arguably you could play this at more than 1, which is currently what I'm using it at. But the reason I'm playing that at 1 is because I couldn't pass up the opportunity of utilising Eye of Tomias. Now you don't have to play this at all. I just still really, really like this card. Obviously a lot of people, even myself included, on the realistic expectation that this gets an errata so that it is searchable. Unfortunately, for those of you that are new to the Dark Magician deck, this card is not searchable, even though it lists Dark Magician in its text. All of the Dark Magician searching cards specify Dark Magician as the monster, whereas this specifies Dark Magician monsters as general. So you've got like Dark Magician Gel and everything else. So keep that in mind, but I just like the idea of going able to get Dark Magician, Eye of Tomias, turn it into a Dragoon, turn it into a, what is also quite useful in this particular build, a Magician's. And the reason this is so useful is this allows you to draw into your spells and traps even more. So when you're drawing off of your Runicks during your opponent's turn, you also get an additional draw off the back of the Dark Magicians as well, which is really nice. So this is completely subjective. You can take this out if you want to. I would probably go for a second Secrets of Dark Magic if you wanted to take this card out. It really is down to personal preference. You could put other stuff in here that is relevant to Eye of Tomias, stuff like Dark Paladin, so you can kind of skip that element of being able to fusion summon it with a Buster Blader, but it really is up to you. And then, of course, 2 Illusion of Chaos. This can pretty much search you out your Rod for your starter, your Souls for your extender, or even the Tomias United Dragon, should you need to. And then for the Dark Magician spells, of course, we are playing 2 Soul Servant. So being able to stack the top of your deck so that when you activate a Runick card, because they're all going to go to the bottom of the deck, you can stack and draw exactly what you want, which has a little bit of synergy between the 2 engines. On top of that as well, you'll also be able to banish it from the graveyard more times than not to get you an additional draw. You could play Dark Magician Go if you wanted to, but the idea is with this deck, you're going to be drawing so many cards, it's crazy. You've got Souls that can help you draw, you've got the Runick engine that's going to help you draw, and you've got Soul Servant that's going to help you draw as well. So you should be ending your turn with pretty much a full hand, and then during your opponent's turn, you're going to draw even more with the Runick cards and recycling them as well. Then of course you've got the one Dark Magical Circle. If you wanted to cut down the Dark Magician elements of this deck, you could do. And the reason for that is technically Dark Magical Circle is very rarely is it going to resolve its reveal free unless you are chaining Soul Servant to it to specifically resolve it. More times than not, it can be utilized for the banish effect because you will be using, as a preview, Eternal Soul. And when you're using Eternal Soul, some of the nice things that the Runicks have in this deck is even if your board gets cleared, you still have the ability of falling back on your Runick cards, and you do actually have Runick cards like Jerry that just can't be destroyed by card effects, even your own, which is really nice. We are playing the one Dark Magic Inheritance. I really want this to get a foil as well because I love the artwork. I think the artwork is one of the best Dark Magician artworks we've had for a long, long time. Just because it's got the circle there and then it's got the circle around there. Dark Magician Girl, Dark Magician. The only thing I don't like about it, but it's in all the artworks, is this particular color scheme for Dark Magician. Like me being the original Dark Magician structure deck, it was always purple armor with pale skin, whereas now it's like greeny blue skin. Looks like more like an alien than a human, but still cool. And then of course the one Secrets of Dark Magic, again you can take this or bump this up, but what this card gives you is the fact that it lets you fusion any monster. As long as you use Dark Magician, you're still good to roll. You can technically also ritual summon a ritual monster from the hand by treating a monster from the hand or field, including a Dark Magician. So if you really, really wanted to, you could actually summon down your Illusion of Chaos, which is quite cool. But you could very easily bump this up to 2 if you wanted to. The reason is that I don't play it at 2 is quite like Eye of Timaeus, to be honest. It requires Dark Magician. So if you don't have a Dark Magician, it's a dead card. Having multiple of these isn't that great. But the benefit that this will have is it will increase your count of cards that can be revealed off of the back of Dark Magical Circle, because this one does specifically list Dark Magician as the monster. And then the penultimate 2 Dark Magician cards, you've got the one Magical Eyes Fusion. So this one, unfortunately, isn't directly searchable unless you're playing the Dogmatica version. But like I said, you're not relying so much on the searchability of some cards in this. You're going to be utilizing the insane amount of draw power you're playing in this deck in order to get into cards like this. If you wanted to, you could cut some of the cards out. So like Eye of Timaeus is the 2 that you could cut down. You could cut down other cards if you wanted to. And then ultimately that will allow you to put in a Dogmatica engine in this, which will make a card like this searchable. But I personally didn't want to do that. I wanted a nice 50-50 split between Dark Magician and Runicks without needing to add any additional engines into it. Last Dark Magician card, of course, is Eternal Soul. So even if this gets destroyed, because you've got the Runicks to fall back on, it's actually probably the version of the deck that I feel is the most effective with this. Because in like the branded version, if they get rid of this, they nuke your board, you're in a bit of trouble, unless you've got Dragoon on the board already. And then in other versions as well with Dogmaticas, if they nuke it, you're kind of in a bit more of a sticky situation, whereas in this particular version itself, you always have the field spell in place. So they would need to get rid of the field spell first, and then Eternal Soul. And then Eternal Soul is just generally quite useful in order to keep bringing back a Dark Magician. When you're using cards like Secret of Dark Magic, which is again arguably why you'd probably want to consider bumping this up to 2, it gives you that ability to set this card as well. So even if you open up 2 copies, you can activate the first one, fuse during your turn, and then set it so that during your opponent's turn, you can bring back a Dark Magician and then get the ability to fuse again. Moving on to the Runick cards, pretty standard on this one. There's not really anything too special about the Runick lineup. So 2 Fountain, triple Flash, triple Tip, triple Slumber, triple Freezing Curses, triple Destruction, 1 Smiting Storm, 1 Golden Droplet, and 1 Dispelling. You can play these 3 up more if you wanted to, more so the Dispelling and the Storm, but honestly, I didn't really want to, because I feel, like I said, exactly at the start, 50-50 split works out nicely. You've got loads of spells here. Dark Magician can utilize those spells just as much as the Runicks can utilize the Dark Magician's involvement in the deck, which is what gives it a nice little bit of unknown synergy, which I haven't really seen be put together. Now, the reason I haven't really seen many Runick Dark Magician builds be put together is because the meta consideration is that Runick with Bestials will be better, Runicks with Earthbounds will be better. However, I'm not looking to make Runicks better, I'm looking to make Dark Magician better, which is why we've gone with a Dark Magician Runick build. And the best thing about the Dark Magician and the Runick build as well is that as long as you get to Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, you don't always need to be conducting your battle phase. So skipping your battle phase is not the end of the world, and you can literally sit with all of your Runicks backing up your Dark Dragoon, and the Dragoon's going to go, okay, cool, pop, burn, pop, burn. Obviously, you're not going to be doing it twice per turn, but you'd go pop during one turn, burn. Next turn, pop, burn. And if you get Dragoon to such a high level of attack, you then just go, okay, cool, well, won't activate any Runicks, just control everything with Dragoon, come back to my turn, Dragoon, attack, game, done. Speaking of Dragoon, moving on to the extra deck. 2 Red Eyes, Dark Dragoon. Don't really need to see much more about that. Dragoon is Dragoon. It's the strongest monster we've had. Artwork, so good. Like, whoever come up with the idea of we're not going to go down how broken its own effect is, but whoever come down with the idea of fusing Dark Magician with Red Eyes, great job. Great art design, everything. Absolutely love it. The only thing I want to see next is I want to see a Dark Magician fused with a Blue Eyes, but at least Red Eyes with Dark Magician is anime relevant because obviously I think it was Yugi that gave Red Eyes to Joey, and in the originals season 0, Red Eyes was one of Yugi's monsters. So incredibly cool. So I think, what was it? Red Eyes was given... It was the other way around, wasn't it? Red Eyes was taken off a Rex Raptor by Joey because he won the duel. And then Joey gave Red Eyes to Yugi. There you go. I'll get there eventually. And then we do play the Dark Magicians. Now I actually think this is more relevant. This is obviously very protective, but this is actually a really kind of cool card that you can utilize for the pure fact that it does require Dark Magician and any spellcaster. So that's obviously going to be the Dark Magician side of it. But what this does have is once per turn, if a spell or trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you get to draw one card, and then if it was a spell or trap that you drew, you can set it, and if it was a trap or a quick play spell, you get to activate it that turn. If this card is destroyed, you get special both a DM and a Dark Magician Girl from the hand, deck, or graveyard, well, you're never really going to be doing that. But the idea is that when you're activating Runick cards, you're going to get, okay, cool, draw 3 off of a Runick and recycle, as well as Dark Magicians draw an additional card. So worst case scenario, if they do get rid of the field spell, you can then set the card you drew and then activate it, and then you still get a form of interruption, or you just keep it in the hand, you go, cool, I've just got an additional Runick, let's go. And then Guardian Chimera. So for those of you like, whoa, how do you make Guardian Chimera? Well, this is what I was saying about the Secrets of Dark Magic. Secret of Dark Magic lets you fusion summon any monster as long as you are using Dark Magician. So you can activate Eternal Soul, bring back Dark Magician, use Dark Magician and Hugin on the field, and then a monster in the hand gets you in a Guardian Chimera, lets you pop 2, draw 1. Or vice versa, use Hugin, Dark Magician in the hand, and another card in the hand, draw 2, pop 1. So again, more draw power as well as a form of interruption. Really, really cool card. The only thing you need to be careful of is if you put this on the board with this, you're probably going to be running into Super Poly territory. But then again, most Super Poly builds that I've been seeing do not run Starving Venom. So that's also quite interesting. And then for the Runicks, of course, you do play 2 Hugin, 2 Jerry, and then the 1 Munin. So obviously Munin is to gain the life points. We do also play the main, but I'll talk about this in a minute. Now, obviously, Hugin is your searcher for the field spell and then can protect the field spell from being destroyed. Really important. Munin is your life point gainer during time. And then Jerry gives you the ability to recycle from the graveyard should you need it. But on top of that, it also cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is really important. And if it does get destroyed by battle, you get to pop a card on the field. So very nice interruption, which is why we're playing 2 of this and this. Now, big important thing to show, and I'm going to preview this now, is your Munin and your Hugin are just as important as anything else when they are on the field. And the reason for that is level 3, light. Level 2, light. Why is that important? This guy right here. You can actually make Chaos Angel incredibly easy. You activate a Runick spell card, get Dark Magician on the board. Munin plus Dark Magician makes Chaos Angel with both of its effects intact. Hugin plus Dark Magicians or Dragoon, Chaos Angel with both effects intact. Absolutely insane. And when you're getting a Chaos Angel on the board and your opponent's trying to like beat through all of your monsters, you're like, all right, whatever, just put Magician's Souls on defense in the board. Constantly, every single time with Magician's Souls, send 2 spells, draw 2 cards. Every single time, because they can't destroy it, which is absolutely insane. And then Chaos Angel itself is absolutely boss stacked because it's unaffected by your opponent's monster's effects because it will be used with a light and it protects synchros. But when you're using darks, your cards can't be destroyed by battle. So no longer can they just run over a Dark Magician. All you got to be careful of is a U-Bell matchup because U-Bell can Super Poly your entire board. And if you put a insanely powerful boss monster on there, they can just Super Poly the board, bar that boss monster, and then smack into it and do you huge amounts of damage. Keep that in mind. But yeah, Chaos Angel can be abused in this deck massively. And then, of course, you've got the one that's left near. So this is just a form of interruption as well as just being... I mean, the high level doesn't make much of a difference, but for those of you unfamiliar with Stephanie, and I very rarely use it, but during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you gain a quick effect to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, banish both that monster and this card until the end phase. If a card or cards is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except by drawing it, you get to special summon a Runick token, very light, 1500 attack, 1500 defense in attack. You can only use each effect once per turn. But the idea is you've got an ability to banish as a form of interruption, as well as being able to spawn a token, which can help you wall up should you need it, but more times than not, you probably won't need it. And then the last cards we are playing is just a small link engine. So you've got the Relinquish Anima, which is your Magician Souls into Anima to steal a card. You've then got IP Masquerena, into Dark the Dark Charmer, and ultimately either of these two is going to lead you into SP Little Knight. Now, the one things that are not in this deck, but you can put them into, and the reason they're not in here is because I didn't feel that I needed Selene into access code when I already am playing Chaos Angel, and I'm also playing Dragoons. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut Dragoons down to 1, you could cut Chaos Angel out, you could arguably consider cutting down the Jerry to 1 if you want to, or I wouldn't cut down Hugin, actually. That would be a silly suggestion. What are you talking about? So cutting Jerry down to 1, I wouldn't cut Dragoons down, but you could do if you really, really wanted to. You could cut out the Guardian Chimera, you could cut out the Chaos Angel, and that's your Selene into access code. But the way I saw it was, at the end of the day, the Selene into access code is only going to be utilised to banish materials from the graveyard to pop cards. Like I said, the whole idea of this deck is you're not really ever going to be going into a battle phase. You're just going to keep burning them with Dragoon. You're going to be milling them with the Runicks. And if you do need to go into the battle phase, you need to make sure that you are preset and ready to go. Whereas when you're looking at stuff like IP Masquerena, Runick, everything like that is building towards an SP Little Knight, which you're basically just constantly adding a form of interruption to keep bouncing off the board. The same with the Sefnir and everything else. So that's it for the entire build. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. If you want to see a test stand video for this, and if you actually want to see me take this to locals, get the video above 50 likes and I'll get it ready and I'll take it to locals with a side deck intact as well. For side decks, you'd probably be looking at more specific hand traps in the forms of stuff like Draw on Lockbirds, Ghost Bells, DD Crows, Board Breakers in the form of Evenings, Lightning Storms, Cosmic Cyclones to deal with Anti-Spell and everything else like that. But I really do like this idea of the deck and the way that it works because of the synergy between the two. Obviously, it's not direct synergy, but both of them help each other out, which is really nice. The Runick allow you to provide you with monsters and interruptions, which is what Dark Magician is slightly lacking. But then on top of that, your Dark Magicians provide you with big boss monsters that can protect, which is obviously what Runicks are missing. So it gives you that balance between the two, which I think is really, really nice. And I feel that it gives you the most expanded version of Dark Magician. Like when you go down Branded route, that is it. You can't be doing anything apart from fusion summoning. When you go down the Dogmatica route, you need to make sure you can do everything before you activate any of your Dogmatica cards like Nadir Servant, because then you're locked out of the extra deck. But it does give you a bit more consistency to search a follow-up in the form of Red Eyes Fusion or of course Magical Eyes Fusion when you're utilising Nadir Servant. And it also gives you access to the Nadir package into Winder, which can be a very, very nice stun card as well. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Like I said at the start, any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.